since we have a quorum, I'll call the meeting to order at 10. We'll start with our consent agenda after our public comments. Wes?
Oh, sure, why not? For items that are not on the agenda, right?
Correct.
Okay. Well, I'll throw it out there. Wes White, Salinas Monterey County Homeless Union co-president. I'm also part of the LEAD committee, which is the Lived Experience Advisory Directive with the Continuum of Care. Also NAACP Political Action Chair. And part of the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival. So it's the National Union of the Homeless actually under that. Basically, I guess I just want to talk a little bit more about the sweeps, see if you can help cajole the council and administration to do things differently. Remind you of how well things went during shelter in place. And that's probably a model we should go back to, where people basically have an address of somewhere to be. If you don't want them in front of your own buildings, then let them be somewhere else. And that can be maintained. Minimal health and safety standards can be mitigated. And you won't need to do sweeps all the time. You'd save a lot of money that could actually go to affordable housing instead of spending it on like Republic refuse, where the garbage goes. Smith Inn, right, where most of the homeless services go, is to sweeps. And then you got the police force, which we pay six figures just for recruits now, and public works. So everyone else is getting paid, and human suffering is what's paying for it. They just did a sweep, and now it's raining for the next 3 days. It's freezing outside. We're giving inclement weather housing vouchers for hotel stays for 3-4 days, because it's freezing outside. People can't stay dry to stay warm, and so, you're causing health issues. Whose health, whose safety are we concerned about? Whose compassion and humanity when everyone was worried about the rent stabilization ordinance? And now, where's our humanity? Where's our compassion now that we're in charge and we're going to get everything we want? What about everyone else? Please help me stop the sweeps.
Where are they supposed to go? You mentioned something that they could go somewhere. Where?
Yeah, well, where are they now? I mean,
somewhere.
if
I'd like them to get out of here. That's for damn sure. Downtown, they're sleeping all over the place. They're crapping and peeing, and it's just.
Well, do we open bathrooms?
Gross.
How many bathrooms are there available
I'm
for
just
people?
asking you, where do they go if they're not where we are, right in the middle of our district? Where do they go?
During shelter in place, they were absolutely in the lowest, deduction of elimination, process of elimination. Where can they be, right?
Well,
so a lot of it was on public property.
If you really want to do something for the whole town, find a place for these people to go, so that we can have, when there's somebody sleeping in my doorway, I can have them taken to that shelter utopia that you somewhat think is out there.
Well, if they weren't driven out of where they were, they wouldn't be where you didn't want them.
I don't understand that. Yeah, I'm not
so
sure.
if they're on, okay, in April 2023, the city pushed everybody off of public property on the Union Pacific Railroad tracks. That's so they could avoid being legal. This was still during Martin versus Boise, so hey, we don't have to post a notice. We can just take everything you got. We can get paid for getting rid of you and treat you like garbage. Are they humans? Are they less than humans just to be abated like rodents? I mean, it really comes down to your own personal feeling of how do I get a money check out of this?
I think we're at 2 minutes.
Absolutely.
Colleen.
I can be really, really brief. Just for anybody who doesn't know me, I'm Colleen Bailey. I'm the new director of the Chamber, and I'm really happy to be there. And I'm here just to support. It's a real focus of the Chambers to really help downtown be a vibrant place. So I'm here to see how I can support. We did have a retreat in this lovely building last Friday, and it really was the top priority. It's what we could do to help you all with the downtown area. So, anyway.
And she's got a neat dad.
Yes, I do. Agreed.
Who we miss?
we'll move on to the consent agenda. I said it exactly the same as last time. We will be reviewing the minutes from November, the financial reports from November, December, and January again. Wes gave us a cease and desist letter for not posting our agenda on the website properly. So we've all been aware that that needs to happen, and it has been posted as well as this meeting. So we do need to approve those.
What were we not doing?
So we didn't, go ahead, Greg.
Sorry. So it was my understanding of the Brown Act that we had to do a public notice, which we have been. I'm posting them on our mailing, on our office as I'm supposed to. I thought that the website part was encouraged, but not mandatory. And so I made a mistake and did not post them on the website 72 hours before it happened. So we have been made aware of it. Mattoni is working on a response. We're curing all of the issues. I'm also now not required, but I'm adding Wes to our mailing list. So you've been getting a lot of my mail.
Yes, sir.
And so we're basically, luckily we didn't have a lot of things to go through on November, December for the minutes and financials, but in order to cure the past two meetings that I did not post the meeting on the website in time, we're going over it again. So, and from here on forth, I will make sure it is on the website within 72 hours. So, thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Sorry.
Do we have any public comment?
Yeah, why not? Just to kind of, sorry, I wasn't really trying to be confrontational or anything, and I hope you didn't take it as a mean thing or anything. I just missed the last meeting, and I was like, dang. So that was kind of one thing. Oh, cool, I could, see it happen again, and I actually was following that website, and that was one reason that I missed the last meeting. Yes, it's every second Thursday, so you should know this. So now it's definitely in my calendar. But thank you. I appreciate you just carrying it.
No, we're absolutely totally not trying to obscure our meetings. It was an oversight on my part, and I apologize for that. So we're curing it, we're fixing it, we're making sure it doesn't happen again. So.
Does the board have any questions or comments? Are we ready to take action?
You just want one motion to approve the consent calendar and Audrey?
Yes.
I'll move approval. Is it of the entire consent calendar?
Yeah.
Is that your motion, the entire consent agenda?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
I'll second that.
So who's got the second? Sorry.
I did.
There, got it.
Literally seconds.
Okay. We will
To vote.
vote.
All those in favor?
Aye. Okay, we will now move on to our presentations. We've got the president's report. Wanted to share, we've got a new restaurant opening, Diablo, or open, the officially open. Friday, so Valentine's Day. So take a look. What is the exact address?
It's where the old Mommy Chilas used to be, the Sang property. It's El Gran Diablo, I believe it's called.
Right next to Tierra.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they, I think it's a different, some of the owners are the same, I believe, but there's new ownership, partial ownership, new rebranding of a new restaurant. So they're opening on February 14th, and we're advertising them on, or not advertising, we are reposting their content from social media on our social media. So we're telling people that there's a new place in town.
Which is exciting.
Is there any news on the opening for the Glassworks?
No, sir.
Or the bakery?
No, sir.
Carrie's Coop will also be closing due to personal reasons. She's looking for somebody to maybe purchase her business. So if
Who is
anybody-
this?
Carrie's Coop, she's on the 300 block.
The Chicks place?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the co-op,
Yeah.
the,
Yeah, I saw that.
Could I, Frank, how you doing with your tenant issue on getting them gone?
Which
The-
one we talking about?
The restaurant,
Oh, La Cantina?
yeah.
It's a problem. There's $500,000 worth of beer making equipment in there, and they haven't claimed it, and I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard spot. I got 2 people that are very interested in it, so I'm hoping I can put something together.
Do they want the equipment?
One does, one doesn't. So yeah, it's an interesting dilemma I'm in right now. Not sure how it's gonna shake out.
Good you have interest though. in the farm
Yeah, I
markets
do
space.
have
Well,
interest.
I'm sorry, did they buy the brewing equipment from the former tenant? It's none of my damn business, I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's, I don't really even like to talk about it, but
Okay,
it
all
is
right.
what it is.
Okay.
I'll let you know when something happens.
Okay.
I'm working on it.
We've also been dealing with the unlicensed vendors that have come back in our area. Maybe never even completely left. So those are all the food trucks that are out late at night. And we're really working hard to collaborate with the city, the health department, and the police to get that issue resolved. We're
It's
looking at,
mainly in the 200 block / 100 block.
yeah.
Where are they parking primarily?
In front of Glass House is where a lot of them are
Oh, Glass House.
hanging out,
Just
yeah.
out here.
Yeah. We're trying to get some cameras put up, just to make it easier. I mean, I'm definitely not out there at 1 in the morning. I don't know many people who are, except Steve, who's the rock star, who shows up every now and again just to police it.
He's a
but
night
are they
owl.
doing business or are they just parking?
No, they're doing business, so they're
Oh, they're
selling
doing
food.
business.
At what time?
1 in the morning?
Well, as soon as the bars close, they're servicing the people that come out of the bars.
Really?
Probably 11:30 they start to hit it pretty good, and then it does go till, it can't go to 1:30.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Is this on weekends mostly, or every
I would
night?
say, well, yeah, Friday nights are generally my night to rope around, so, but then I come back on Saturday night too. And, yeah, I don't think they're making as big a mess, I will say that.
Yeah.
I don't see as much mess as I used to.
Yeah,
It's
I
less.
will say that. And,
Yeah.
you know, I feared for my life a couple of times because I did get on some people.
Well, they've had two or three of them have been held up, strong arm robberies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I missed
the food
those
trucks.
nights.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Steve's
Out
out there
on,
strong
out
arm.
on East Dallas out. But, you know, it's just a matter of time before we get one around here too.
Oh, wow. Well, we are looking to get cameras up and try to address that issue a little bit more directly. Also working with the restaurants themselves, the restaurants, bars, to communicate with us directly. Greg, with Amy's help, Amy's idea, and then Greg helping with the block captains. He created a software where they can enter the information, so I'm hoping to open that up to some of the restaurants so they have a reporting system so we can keep everything in one central place, just to allow us to address it more thoroughly. And then we have our meeting with the city, the stakeholders meeting, that happens every quarter, so the next one is tomorrow. So it would be a great opportunity to address some of the items we've looked at through land use and the community as a whole, as well tomorrow. So I'm excited to get that face-to-face time.
Audrey, who attends that meeting?
So Greg, anyone's technically welcome to
But
it.
is it other people beyond SCCIA,
How much?
right? It's,
Yeah.
right.
It's like, sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's like the chamber, Suba, it's us, other representatives from some of the builders and the large shopping centers, things like that.
Okay, like a round table kind of
Yeah,
thing.
kind of. It was a square table last time, but yeah.
All right.
And the city created it in an effort for better communication through all parties.
Yeah.
So we are really trying to utilize that opportunity to communicate and work together better.
All right. What time is that?
At 1 o'clock? Yeah.
The rotunda?
Yeah, if you want, the information, the invite, we could forward it to you. I don't know if you can find that, we
Yeah,
can just
I have
forward it to them.
I think it says the Chavez Library, isn't it? No.
It is,
It-
El,
it's
the
this-
El Gavilan.
Gavilan.
No, it's different this time. They've moved it. It's over at the Cedar Chavez Library, 650 Williams Road at 1 p.m.
Chavez.
Oh, right.
Cedar
That's
Chavez.
this Friday.
Correct. 615 Williams.
1 o'clock, right?
Correct.
And that is it for me. We'll move on to the treasurer's report.
One question. Did you have a meeting yet with the mayor or the council members?
So it looks like I've had conversations with him. Donahue said he was going on vacation and talked about getting with us after he has been in office for 100 days. I know Jason has reached out to him and he looks like he's willing to meet with Jason and I regarding some land use items in February or March.
Right. I was just gonna report on it at the land use committee.
Yeah, so we'll help.
So,
I don't think it's vacation. I think he's going for work.
Oh, Australia
Yeah,
for
it says
work?
for work.
Yeah.
Oh, I need a new
That's-
job.
Yeah, I need that job.
I mean, it's still pretty cool, but it's
Yeah.
work.
No, I want a new job.
Australia.
Oh, nice.
The optics airport.
It's a hard place.
Sure, that's all
It's
downtown Salinas
It's a
business.
14-hour flight.
Yeah.
20 from New York, wasn't it? 25 times.
That's crazy.
We'll go ahead for the
Treasurer, not much. We got our first disbursement from the city back mid-January. And then probably what I'll look at doing here soon is we'll move some money back over to a CD to split up the amount so we don't have it all sitting in Comerica. So we did that last year and we actually ended up with quite a bit of interest income that went back into our
What are you getting? What kind of interest right now?
well, right now, nothing. We closed the account because we're running thin, so put it all back into the one account. And then with this disbursement, last time we did it in Mechanics Bank, we had 4 last time.
Yeah,
4
that's
and a half.
about right.
I think there are about 3 right now at Mechanics.
It's gone down.
Yeah.
Pacific Valley has, on 6 months, has 4 redundancies.
Yeah, so we'll probably do a 6-month, maybe move 200,000, kind of to split it in half. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So probably, when I've got time, we'll do that. So it's a good move. Yep. That's it for me.
Okay. Alright.
So much stuff. Doing a lot of trying to meet with a lot of people, trying to set up different things, trying to keep the city manager, police chief involved or informed about a lot of things that are happening. We've received some messages from some merchants on the 200 block that are complaining about the food vendors, obviously. So we have our block captains, and our block captains are sending messages to us to get things resolved. And the software I've built, it's not really. I mean, it's an app online, and basically it just collects and collates data, so we can kind of keep track of how many people have used it, how many people are submitting things, keeps the pictures in there. So it's just a centralized place. And we do have various cameras around town that are mostly looking at our murals, but there's no reason why we can't point some of them or add some extras to some of the trouble spots, and so we can see it ourselves and have this proof, if you want to call it that, of activities happening. Because right now the only thing that we have is emails saying issues, and we don't have a way to identify these entities or people or whatnot, so perhaps we can get a little better eyes on them. There's been a little bit of vandalism. There's some tagging that we're trying to take care of as soon as possible. The insurance place at 242 and a half has had a broken window, and I believe that the owner there, Derek, he said he's going to buy a camera that we can look at, and that also happens to be one of the places where some transients are sleeping and making a mess and lighting fires, and that's one of the problems. They're lighting fires
Yep.
in the entryways.
Behind my building, they're doing that.
Exactly.
At least 3 or 4 times.
Yep. So there's been fires. There's fires at 242 and a half, like almost every other day. There was a fire in front of the Blue Zones building, and then in 201 Main, there was actually a large fire where fire department got called out.
On the back door.
Yeah, about a month or so
Saw that,
ago. An entire shopping cart and a pallet loaded with items burned up, and the flames or the smoke damage is 10 to 15 feet high. So it is these temperatures are significant, and they're causing.
That was in the back parking lot?
It's, in the alleyway.
Alleyway.
Between 201 and Bruges. So because that doorway is fairly recessed, and I think the fire got out of hand and whoosh, all of his lady's personal belongings.
When was it?
About a month ago.
Yeah, about
Yeah.
a month or so ago, give or take. And I talked to this lady the day before, and I said, hey, watch all your stuff. You want to. And I saw the quantity of things that she had, and I think it got out of control and lit her cart on fire. And she was also dragging along a full-size wood pallet, and that was going
Did
after
anybody
the fire.
report her?
Yeah.
So she got cited?
Oh, I don't know if she got cited. I have no idea about
I
that.
mean, I don't know
She
why
was-
they don't get
She's
cited.
gone.
She was gone in the morning, so,
Ridiculous.
and so we're just keeping an eye on some of the transients or people that are plugging into the outlets. I've put a request into the city to cap a bunch of the electrical outlets in the parking lots because I'm getting complaints from the 300 block. Some of the ladies that are working in those buildings they're scared when they're walking back to their cars at night, and there's a group of homeless people plugging in with all their cell phones and power strips and whatnot, taking up parking spaces with their carts. So we're trying to mitigate all of that. Our security is of course available, but they're not here 24/7. So.
And I don't know how much good they're doing, I'll tell you. I'm really depressed about this situation in the downtown. This is causing way more problems than I think most people realize. This is why we're not renting space. We've got these people that just back and forth, day in, day out, in the doorway, sleeping out right in the middle of the block. And it's just, we gotta stop this somehow. I don't know what we can do, but we gotta do something about this. Whether we need the police to start intervening, if we get somebody sleeping on private property, that person should be cited for trespass and moved out of the area. I don't know where. That's why I said the west. Where do we send them if we get them out of
Sun
our
Street
area?
Park. It's got 7 acres right
It's
there.
really bad, and I will say one thing. We're only a block away from Chinatown. And if any of you have been in Chinatown recently, it is pathetic. I mean, it is the worst cesspool you can imagine. These people are sleeping in their cars, they're doing drugs, it's open and notorious. And I don't know how this is going on in our town, this is not cool.
Well, I manage property in Chinatown, and my struggle is that, I really work a lot with the homeless, our BASH program, and I do a lot of other things to help the homeless society, but we can try to help them to go to like the Sun Street Center that I know Wes has recommended, but they won't go, right? So we try to ask, our Sun Street Park, but if we we do ask them, I'm like, hey, this is the shelter, here's the place, like, how can we help you? Like, and it's just, you can't force someone to go, right? Like, so we can make all these recommendations, you can't force them to go there, because it's cold, and you don't want them to be outside, and you want them to be inside of a shelter, but there are limitations in those shelters, right? Like, and for me, what I've been dealing with is what's happening is they're busting open our panel, and they're connecting they're putting up tents and then putting heaters inside, and they're breaking down my electrical panels. So what we're doing is we're dealing with a fire issue for us, like, and it's a liability issue, right? So like the police are really helping us trying to get that, but we're really trying to encourage them to go to like these facilities to stay warm and dry and have food, right? Instead of sort of sleeping in their tents or in their car. But it's really tough to convince somebody to go, even just sitting there talking to them, right? And I get out of my car, they know exactly who I am when I walk over there, when I go there every week, and so, and I try to encourage it. Even at my office downtown on the 300 block, people, they sleep in our doorway, and they sleep like on the stairs, and I just, every day, hey guys, like, we're gonna open up, so you guys gotta move along, and they're real nice to me. I just really try to be hey guys, I'm like, we gotta be able to get in our door, right? My customers gotta be able to get in the door. And I ask them to kindly move along, they grab their stuff and they move along, you know, but it's tough. I mean, you try, so it's like trying different tactics, it's really hard, right? And try to be kind and at the same time, but it's hard to encourage somebody to go to these facilities, you know? So, and I don't know how to do that, I'm not.
Well,
I'm
we
not
have
that
all
good
the
at work, but
services right here.
I know.
You know, we've got all these social services, what do you expect? We got the church over on San Luis, and they're providing food, and these people are here because they're
The
getting
services are
things.
here.
Yeah, it's a money area for them.
Well, the services are here, so they're here, and that's what's
Yeah.
gonna continue to happen until the
I
services
just-
go to a central location, maybe where they can all be helped, like multiple things, and that would be the best situation. Don't ask me where that should be, I don't know, but.
That's where we're
Manzanar,
getting-
Arizona.
That's the crux of the problem.
This
I know,
town
it is.
needs,
It
you know,
really
you
is.
don't see them in Carmel. Why is
They
that?
would-
I ask
The
every.
services are not there, that's why.
Why?
Well, not only
Services
that,
are-
no, they wouldn't let them be there.
No, they wouldn't.
Believe, trust me, the cops would have them out. They'd put them on a bus, they'd do whatever they gotta do, get them out of our town. And somewhere, somehow, we have to find a place. I mean, it's a county issue. It's not just the city, it's the whole county. We need a place for these people. And I remember I met with Fred Young and John Phillips met. He wanted to do it in Fort Ord, but then Fort Ord and Marina, they didn't want it. They don't want it there. Nobody wants it in their backyard. But damn, we need a place for these people. Otherwise, it's never gonna go away. And it's gonna get worse.
Or they're not gonna get the help that they need, is what.
Well,
it comes down to.
most of them don't want any help. You know, you almost have to force them. It's like putting in
Yeah.
people in prison when they do drugs. The only good thing about it is they probably get off drugs for a while, you know?
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah, they got a lot of drugs in prison too. Yeah, it's a difficult situation. But it's hurting our downtown. We really have to, we need to sound off to the mayor and the city manager and the police chief. We can't have this because it's screwing up our whole business atmosphere in the downtown.
I was at
How
work
can
at
we?
5:30 in the morning on Monday, and the police did come down, just so you know. And they had this like knocker thing that like on their loudspeaker, and it startled me because I didn't know what it was at first. And then I ran to the door, and it's a knocker, and they tell everybody to get up. So when most people come to work in the morning early, that's why that everybody who's been sleeping there has been gone. Is because they like knock, 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 wake up, trying to get up this morning. You know, I didn't know that existed because I typically don't go to work that early. But that's why it is. So whatever Greg's doing with the police chief and your communications, it is making a difference. And I think, and it would be a lot worse if we didn't have their assistance, the police. You know, because that they are cleaning people out in the morning. So just so you guys
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, I mean, no, it was great. I was like, oh dang, I didn't know they did that.
We'll continue conversations with the city and the police chief and see how we can help direct people into a better place than sleeping on the streets downtown. Public comment, Wes?
Yes, actually. I spoke with Gloria De La Rosa last night. She actually was concerned about the sweeps and the timing, you know, because people are freezing and we're taking away their only means of staying dry to be able to stay warm. She talked with the police chief, and he basically directed her to David Jacobson, the public works director, for scheduling. So between him and city manager, those two are the ones that are creating your problem, because if they can't be there, they're going to be where you don't want them either. So really, if they're in the continuum of care, then they should be afforded some personal space. For me, it's 400 square feet in the structure of their own making. You know, just 20 by 20 is not much. There's 6 and 2/3 an acre at Sun Street Park, where Tony Barrera actually made a comment that he was going to talk to the owners there about, you know, setting something up. Of course, that never happened. And then they just push everyone to the tracks. With the tracks, there's less legality, less constitution. Because it's private property, we can just get rid of it and take everything you got. On public property, they have to post a notice, which they haven't been doing, which is what triggered the latest thing, which also includes David Bouch from Closer Walk. He's an attorney, and he was also concerned about the sweeps, cited a couple of cases. He wants to see people's tents and personal belongings and documentation, medication, prescriptions, for those to remain intact. And so, more like uprooting a tree, you're taking also the root ball as well and replanting them somewhere else. You give them an address and you will see most of the problem go away. You'll see most of the money come back, because what else are people going to do if they're not attacking poor people? Which keeps your rent going up. So, I mean, if you really just want to bait people like rodents, you're gonna. But I don't know how you can feel human that way, treating other people as such insignificance. Drug addicts, dude, you got neighbors who are doing drugs, and you got friends who are doing drugs. You do. So it's not, oh, they're poor. Don't scapegoat people. It's about humanity. If you really want to talk about community and you want to raise your own rates and profit and put in stuff, where's the heart of Salinas? Is it in our pocket or is it in our heart?
Wes, I respect your passion. I've been involved with homeless community for 30 years, since I came to work for the city. I'm going to tell you, 75% of at least the male population, if you gave them a 400 square foot place, they would not move into it. Because they can't take their drugs, they can't take their pit bulls, they can't take their prostitutes, or whatever else it might be. So, your passion is appreciated, but you're not going to get anywhere. Trust me. Now, one last comment. The state of Rhode Island adopted a program about 15 years ago that if you defecated in public, you went to jail. You were treated for whatever was wrong with you. If you had severe schizophrenia, if you were addicted, if you had whatever it was, and you were prescribed drugs that you could get free at clinics all over the state. And has it totally solved the homeless problem? No. But interestingly enough, their problem are substantially less than virtually any other state in the union. And interestingly enough, the 5 people that are administering that program, including the prison warden, are women. Look it up. And think about some of what they're doing and how you might be able to adapt that to your thought process.
Any other public comments?
Yeah, may I say one more thing? Sorry. Just to kind of go off of that. I mean, during shelter in place, people had porta potties, 1 to 10, and actually it should be even like 1 to 5. The more bathrooms, the better. Do we offer laundry, showers? Are we really trying to help people? There again, whose health, whose safety? Because we're not allowing. There's about 1,500 people in city of Salinas, 3,000 in the county, that we just deny. No, you can't use the bathroom here. You got to buy something. And even if you buy something, no, the bathroom is still not available. So where do they go? I mean, we're setting people up for failure and then blaming them for failure.
The First Methodist Church put out porta potties. This was 4 or 5 years ago. And all of a sudden, all they were being used for was shooting up drugs. And some guy would get in one, and if you want to use it, you got to pay him money to get into it.
So that does happen.
Entrepreneur.
You remember that, right?
Yes.
Anyway, I think
Well,
enough.
this conversation, there's a lot that can be talked about on it. For
Well,
sure.
how about the $8 million we spent for the Days Inn out there that's sitting there totally vacant?
That's
I mean,
right.
gee,
Did you go after the robber on that one? Shangri-La?
Oh man, what a mess! What a mess!
Yeah.
Yeah, let's move on to our ad hoc committee. Dizzy's up. Jenna isn't available, so I'll go ahead and present for her. We've had a good amount of activity. We've got our alley activations. We're still working on murals downtown, some additional ones. We've got our 4th quarter reporting for social media. We had a reach of over 34,000. We had views of over 102,000. Content interaction, a little over 2,500. So we've had good activity. Basically, an average to good engagement rating is 1 to 5%. We are at 2.4% for our social media, which is great. We've got an extensive list of reporting that we did as far as sharing events and activities on our social media. Content published as far as industry standards go, we are similar to others. Follower content, we are higher than average. SCCIA has 4.8 thousand, the typical is 725. New followers, which is similar to others. Content interaction is also similar to others. We are at 79, the typical is 42, so we're looking pretty good there. I've got a couple little charts we can share, maybe attach it for the next meeting, just the report, so it can be shared with everyone. We had our holiday campaigns, which you guys may have saw some of the videos that were out there. Print, digital print for the weekly. We had KSBW online and broadcast. The Salinas Chamber digital prints. We had the holiday peace lighting ceremony, which was a success, partnering with the Chamber, Yosel, Aerial Theater, and the Salinas Fire Department. We had Shop Small Saturday, which was a great success on the same day. We seem to think that that's a good approach moving forward. Upcoming marketing, we've got Dine, Sip, and Explore, which is an edible campaign. We'll have Edible Monterey Day, the magazine, which is great. We'll have 4 full-page ads in their quarterly magazine, which is great, featuring all of the restaurants downtown. Give a great showcase opportunity. We're trying to dial up some of the marketing for our restaurants downtown, which will be great. We'll have 4 foldable brochures, which will be at the airport, the Monterey Zoo, Steinbach Center, wineries off of River Road, Monterey, Salinas, Chamber, and the train station, which will be great. We've got our Live Work Google ad campaign that we're continuing to work on downtown. And then we are rolling out a bingo for our restaurant. So a cute little card people can take. And when they get bingo, they will enter every quarter. People who got bingo in a little raffle, and they'll get $200. And we're looking to engage with the city to do the raffle drawing, just some nice participation, and post it on our social media as well. And we are doing a redesign of our large rectangular banners, which will be great. A lot of them got blown down or damaged. I'm sure we'll have to see what happens with any of the ones that are up right now. But we're doing a little redesign to just refresh everything downtown. And that's about it for DISI.
Most of the banners, the redesign, we've actually lost like 20 or 25 large green banners over the past year or two, where the winds are just doing a number on it. Mm-hmm. So
we tried to do perforated to allow the wind to blow through, but that
I think
seems
it's worse.
to not. Yeah,
it
almost was worse.
Yeah. Like there's less surface area for it to hold, so the wind is less material to rip. I don't know. I haven't gone there. I mean, there's no proof. I just feel that they're ripping faster. Yeah.
The life expectancy of those is probably 2 years, probably max.
And we're
just
reaching.
Gotta plan on just changing them out.
Yeah. So I think what we're doing is the Live Work Play banner redesign or refresh. I think we'll keep the good banners along the streets most likely, and add. We'll fill up the parking lots with the Live Work Play banners or something like that, so that we still have some sort of uniformity without trashing the good banners that we still own. So, because they are $250 a pop, so it adds up. So.
And the sign companies don't have any suggestions for you about dealing with
They did the perforated.
Yeah, we tried to perforate it, and yeah. I just don't think it works as well. It feels like, so I mean the things are what, like they're like 24 inches wide or something, and it feels like from the 24 width that's tearing, now they're putting like a 12-inch or 16-inch perforation in there to let the wind blow through, which only leaves us like 8 inches, which is not a whole lot. And when you're dealing with this massive, 6 foot, 6x2 surface area, sail, they just don't last. And some of them are getting faded and weather damaged or sun damage, a lot of UV damage.
Well, we're in the 2-year ballpark,
Yeah.
so it's pretty typical and expected.
Yeah.
And we're using that opportunity to do a fun
A little bit of
redesign,
refresh.
supporting some of our updated marketing as well.
I just wanted to thank the Salinas City Center and DISI for support of our mural project on the side of this building in Midtown Lane. So if you haven't been down there lately, we've got 3 new murals that have joined
They look
the
great.
existing.
Yeah, they look
And
really
I want to
good.
thank you all for the grant and support of that.
Yeah, thank you. We're
They
happy
look
to
really good.
help out.
I love the Fox Theater.
Yeah.
I know.
What a
That's
cool
so
mural
good.
that
That is really
That is
cool,
nice.
yeah.
So I met with the, she called me on a whim yesterday, 2 days ago.
Yeah.
2 days ago. Hope Hayward, who sponsored her father's foundation sponsored that mural, and so I kind of walked her around. Didn't just show her that one, but I showed her all of the murals that we've been doing and all of the things that we're doing, and she's loving it. She remembers all of her dad's or her old haunts, and talked about Dick Brune's being completely redone, or what was Dick Brune's, now 300 Main, and all of those buildings. And she's loving what we're doing. She loves the arch, so that's a big thing for her. So she was very impressed.
Good to hear.
Did you show these?
I did. I did the whole loop,
Good.
and she was like, "Oh, we're back in my car." So, yeah, no, I like the new panels. They look really good.
I gotta look at these now. I haven't seen those.
They do.
We'll go ahead and move on to SOBO.
Okay, for SOBO, Audrey already mentioned, we have our block captains up and running, which was exciting for us to get more involvement from each part of the district. So we want people to feel involved, and we want them to report to us to let us know what's happening, good and bad, right? So all the way around, we know how we can improve or what we are doing that's actually effective. So that's really wonderful to hear. And then as time goes on, I think we'll be able to promote a little bit more and do a little more additional things that will help out, where we're lacking. So having that is really great. Greg and I have also talked about our landscaping and the things that we're going to be doing that will be upcoming this spring. A lot of our plants and stuff, there's no soil left in them, so they're all root balls. So we're going to need to redo some of the landscaping, landscaping plants, and that's just stuff that's going to come up this spring, and he's getting bids on right now, so we can be prepared for that. To give it a refresh at the springtime. Greg's still maintaining and continuing to work on our rat issue, and making sure that, because they're just ground rats or whatever they're doing, right, living in the ground. And but like on our block, because I walk our block, and it's been helpful. So we were all seeing this, and so yeah, I think that things are moving along quite nicely, and things are staying a little bit more cleaned up. And I have gotten some feedback about our unhoused using the electricity outlets in front of their places, and they're happy that in the few places where we have made the electricity outlets higher, they said, hey, we want to say thank you so much, because we're not noticing that they're hanging out in front of the restaurant, which will deter people from coming in, since we didn't leave that accessible. So I have gotten a couple comments on that, which was really nice.
I think we're about 80% along replacing all of the outlets to blank faceplates, and then the outlet 15 feet up. So I haven't seen anybody climb the tree yet. I did see one of the faceplates got ripped off, and they were wondering where the outlet was. So that's something that we need to work on. But yeah, I think that's really working out. So
We've been successful, I think, on.
Could you email the block captain names out to folks,
yeah,
please?
absolutely.
And they've been engaging regularly and sharing good feedback.
Yeah, they're using Greg's information.
Yeah,
I
who
know.
are the block captains? Is it one per block?
Yeah,
Well, it's like an area, so it's not just like a block. So I think we have 14 or 10 block captains. So and it's sometimes it's a couple blocks in a couple areas. So for example, like the 300 block going to the left is myself, on the right for the 300 block are the cooks, right? They walk everywhere. So they'll sort of just start letting us know, and so Jason has somebody from his office walking down there, so we're just, it's a few blocks that they'll take into consideration that they're looking at, so right
Like
around
we-
their businesses or
We
their.
have one, so
Yep.
we're doing like the 200 block.
Yep, yeah, they know the way, so it works out
And
really
lots of
good.
emails from her.
Who do you have for the 100 block?
Should she use
You didn't Saunders?
Well, I want pretty much me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I would volunteer.
Oh, I think you just did.
Oh, that's fine. I walk the streets every
So,
day.
what
But
I-
Greg's been, his office is right there, so he's been taking the 100 block, you know, and because it's otherwise. it's
Oh, and then
tailor-built,
the
you know.
other side is Bobcat. The Bobcat
Oh,
guys.
Bobcat bikes,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So getting other people involved,
Yeah,
actually,
they're
not
good.
in our group is really nice, because it's bringing in the
Yes.
involvement, you know?
And what I'll do is I'll send out a list, and I'll also put in how to report the items, the best way to report them. So it automatically hits my software, and I can, you know, I get a little acknowledgement. Thank you for sending this to us,
Yeah.
and we'll work on it, and then we'll send you an update when it's done. You know, that's kind of the process that we're working on right now.
Okay.
So.
Going along,
Yeah.
yeah, that's it.
Good. Land use, we'll have.
Yeah. Yeah, so we had our meeting like every month, like we do normally. We had a good roundtable discussion that kind of piggybacked on some of the comments that Frank made at the last board meeting. So kind of had a roundtable on near-term and long-term goals for the land use committee. And we talked about things like, you know, more consistent outreach to the city council, you know, the parking situation, or increased opportunities to fund more parking. We revisited the parking study that we've talked about at this board level for many, many years. One of the things, and I think after kind of going through all these different areas and priorities, I think parking is still, correct me if I'm wrong, land use committee, but I think that's should be one of our main focuses for this year. And we thought about, you know, we did get this community foundation grant. We weren't sure if there were strings attached to that, but one of the issues we've had as a group trying to do one of these parking studies is not being able to utilize the funds that we collect from the district for that purpose. But to the extent that they're private funds or outside grants, you know, maybe there's an opportunity now with some of that money. We'd have to review the budget, maybe talk to Greg and talk about it at the board level, but maybe there's an opportunity with that funding to really dive into this and do what we previously got a proposal to do a while back from, I think it was EPS is my recollection. And we actually had a proposal from them, and then the city said they wanted to take it over, and you know, it'd be great if we could direct that work. I think we could probably be a little more efficient at it, and we can use it to help develop recommendations and try to get the city on board to the extent that they need to take actions to create like a parking district. So that is something that is a high priority for us, and it's something that I think we want to try to focus on in 2025. There are other issues, you know, obviously some were raised today about the homeless situation and police enforcement in the downtown area to make sure there's some accountability for some of the things that are happening downtown. And I think we can, you know, one of the things we talked about was maybe, you know, again, having the conversation about trying to get an assigned officer or somebody downtown that could be down here more regularly to patrol the area. And it's all about how the city is going to prioritize and direct their resources. So these are things that I think need to happen. We can't just make that happen magically as SCCIA, but at least with outreach to the mayor and maybe some council members, just to let them know that this is a high priority for us. We can try to at least help influence that decision making, you know, and try to get them to do a little bit more for the downtown area. We just want to see this area continue to grow and prosper. And these are some of the things we think will make that work. And I want to try to latch on to something that we can really make a difference on. And I think, and this parking district is not a novel idea, it's in the vibrancy plan, you know, so these are policy decisions that a prior council has made, that that's the direction they want to go downtown. So we need to remind them that this isn't like some earth-shaking, you know, groundbreaking new concept. You know, they've already basically approved it as part of this vibrancy plan. It's really just the implementation that has been sorely lacking, you know, which is why nothing has happened. So if we can help move that implementation forward, and if it means, you know, doing a study ourselves and having some concrete recommendations that we can go in with and try to get the city's support on, then I think that's a good direction. But I'm thinking that at least with a budget allocation, maybe that requires more discussion at the board level to make sure everybody hears, in this room's on board. And I don't think we can talk about it today because it's not agendized, but maybe it's something that we can dig a little deeper into, maybe at the next board meeting, so we can have that discussion and see if that's something that the board can support and is interested in. So I'll open it up to any of the other land use committee members if you want to provide some comments based on last week. And one last thing before you comment, Peter, is we are working on. I'm setting up a meeting with Mayor Donahue and Audrey so we can just talk to them about some of what I just mentioned, our priorities as the land use committee, and I think the board as well supports what I just mentioned, and then trying to get Margaret DeRigo as well on board. She's the council member representing our district, to just get people warm and just let them know that we're here and we're interested in making this area better for everybody in the district.
So the parking districts are also in the economic development element as approved. The new economic development upgrade or update that the city's working on does not have that as an action item. So there could be significant resources that would come to the city, who's going to be looking to the voters to extend a tax measure that expires in 2030. So it's not very long from now. So it would be nice to see if there's some commensurate results in the economic development area, to actually create some additional resources as when they reach out to us to support another tax measure.
Yeah, exactly. Which they will.
No, that's great. And then we also talked about there being, strength in numbers to the extent that like the chamber can get involved or other organizations within this community to, I think we can all support each other's goals in terms of the common objective, which is economic development and a more thriving, not just downtown, but, when Alice House thriving, that's good for downtown. And when other parts of the cities are implementing some of what this area has been able to accomplish over the years with Taylor's investment and some of these other things that have been really positive. We can all support each other through that endeavor, and we just need to be vocal, just to try to get some policy decisions at the council level that are going to support those goals. And I think we've got a good council that shares similar visions. It's not going to be easy, but we need to just continue charting our path and hopefully we get some change and some support. That's all I've got from the land use committee.
One other thing I wanted to mention, Jason, is when you talk about the police work in the downtown, traffic enforcement.
Yeah.
That's critical that we get some help on that.
The parking enforcement side, or
Well,
everything, as people speed.
I'm talking about
downtown,
people speeding through the middle of downtown, and
Yeah.
both Salinas, Monterey Street, and all those intersections are, these people just go flying through there.
Right. No, I recall we had
Not
a
to-
conversation about that.
And not to make an exception, but there are some young guys in their hot Dodge Chargers who are burning rubber in the downtown, and this is happening fairly regularly.
Yeah.
And they're just getting with it, and nobody's doing anything about it. No reports, no nothing, so.
Okay. Make sure to mention that.
We need some traffic enforcement, yeah.
That's all I got, Audrey.
Okay, any public comments? Further board discussion? If not, let's move on to our action items. On our action items, a couple meetings ago, we talked about having properties that are available in our downtown on our website, just as a resource, not only for us as an easy place when people ask us places that are available. It's easy for us just to go on and identify it or send people there, but also a resource to anybody coming into downtown looking to rent a place. And so we wanted to discuss that idea with everyone and see what your thoughts are.
So what I've done so far, you guys, I sent out an initial draft, I guess, of what it could look like, and I just attached a screenshot to this, to the agenda. Basically, I would do a monthly update or whatnot, and look and see what's available on the various property websites, and then either contact the property owner themselves or the listing agent and say, hey, do you mind if I include your data on our website, yay or nay? And there were some concerns from various members of the board, and so I wanted to put it as an agenda or an action item so we can kind of hash out what you guys want me to do or not want me to do. So that's kind of the reason this is on here. So.
Yeah, it seems like you would have to have, at the bare minimum, the property owner buying into this idea.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then if they have a realtor who's involved, then those people also are.
Right. No, it's definitely a permission thing, so
Yeah.
I asked for permission versus me just doing it.
Right.
Are we gonna document that permission?
We can.
I think we'd have to have something, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a lawyer, I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, but we do have a lawyer in the room.
Well, I don't understand why we have to have permission. I'm only asking because, I mean, I do manage 1,000 units, and people do just take our information and just post it, like Zillow or whoever, they just pull it, and we don't, I'm not giving them permission to use any of my stuff. We're just sort of they pull my advertisement and they use whatever. So Jason, would you know that?
I mean, yeah, I haven't looked at the legalities of it all, so.
I mean, all it is we're sharing their information that's already public. So you're pulling their public information and using their stuff, you're just sharing their information.
It's
What if
through
we
a
just provide-
LoopNet, right, or something?
Yeah.
LoopNet, MLS, personal, private websites or private company websites, Craigslist. But what I can do is I can send a quick email or phone call and say, hey, are you okay with taking your information? And if they say no, I'll just won't include them.
Just
I have
get
a couple-
written permission.
Questions. I have a couple questions just on how much of your time does that take, Greg? Because if you could set it up that it's pretty minimal, I think it's a benefit to all. I think the question of permission, you're actually showing value from the Salinas City Center to the property owners if
Sure.
they are aware that we're even doing this. But if there's a way you could set it up so you're not having to maintain old information, you know, like will it, if you're linking to LoopNet, will it then go away once it's leased?
No, I don't think, I think the way because it's not, that takes a lot of like programming in order to do that. So this particular page, I think, took me about half an hour to make. If I touch it once a month and send a few emails out and get a few calls, I don't think this would take me more than an hour a month to maintain. Once it's up there and once something gets leased, I'll just delete it. And, I don't think it's a huge time suck, especially if it's just me manually touching it once a month.
I'm concerned about the hours too, you know, I just don't think that's our role to market properties, you know? I think we could have a link to sites that have, you know, sales opportunities, there's plenty of them.
Okay.
Or we could just have a place where agents could post on our website, just at their volition, but I just don't think it's something we should get into. We shouldn't be spending our time,
Okay.
you know, getting into real estate business, because we don't get any compensation for it.
Well, I feel like it could be a problem, and I'm gonna say in particular, Greg and I spoke about a particular occupant of a property downtown, and I feel then they would say, well, you're advertising for them, why are you not advertising for us? So if we just said, hey, if you're interested in downtown properties, here's the link to LoopNet, and then it's there, we always do it. Or if you could make it where like I could come on and enter my properties that I have available downtown, or Audrey or whatever, we're doing it, not you. But otherwise, it's like, otherwise, we would become a marketing company. I feel that then every like restaurant, everybody else would say, hey, why are you not advertising for us? That could be an issue, just because based off of what somebody has commented on, that's already a tenant in our downtown.
So it sounds like we're a no on moving forward with that.
I'm gonna know.
I think it's
Well-
a no too.
But I'm hearing an option for a structure where we have a page promoting, yes, do your business downtown, here's links to existing public information. I mean, that's kind of a one and done, so it's evergreen.
Honestly, I
Can
don't,
we do
I mean,
that?
Greg, you'd have to comment on how you would put that together. I don't know how you
Yeah, I
would do
mean,
that.
I can say, for example, this private, it says available properties. I could say, go to these particular, look at these various brokers' websites. If you want to be included on this list, send me a thing and I'll put a link on there. And once it's done.
I think that's also a gray area too, because I don't think you can just repost LoopNet.
No, I mean, like, I can say, go to LoopNet, or go to, Mahoney, or go to whatever property, and if I missed you, I apologize, please send me a message, and I'll put your website on this list as a resource to look for properties.
So going back on Amy's thing, as far as do we have, I mean, would we broaden this to include, like, restaurants can have, like, all the businesses in downtown? I mean, maybe you have, we have the vacancies and occupy, but again, not if you're entering it all. You
Well,
know,
and
so
that's the
you could
thing,
have
right? Who else is
Cherry
gonna
Bean
update?
can enter their thing with their website link and contact information.
Sure, I think, I'd have to look at our website, because I personally don't like how our,
Site needs to be updated.
Yeah.
well, yeah, well, not only that, but how the mechanics of the website work. So there's various plugins and whatnot on this website, and it's not necessarily tailored towards end user inputs. Nor, by updating it, I'm being a devil's advocate here, who's gonna stop you from updating a phrase that is not necessarily wanted on this website, or sites on this website. So they're
Or
really
businesses.
Do it like the chamber has it,
are
like,
real.
I believe we're all chamber members, I am. And so at the chamber, we have it where, when you become a member, I put in all my member information, and that's it. Like, I chose to put my information out there. Maybe people who are downtown, a part of the
Yeah, but
downtown
you have
association.
a login.
And that's, maybe it is, like, we could log in and if you want to, you put your stuff in, otherwise maybe don't put
But
anybody's
that's a
stuff, like.
technically is a whole new can of worms that we're opening with, like, user logins and things like that.
So maybe
And
not-
And people
Member
lose
benefit.
passwords and then
Right.
checking out
Yeah.
that would probably be
like,
a tight
that's a
set.
whole new, like, that's a lot.
That's a marketing business, that's not our
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
I mean, you got professional agents out there whose job it is to market.
Well, I think one of the issues is some of these property owners, and we kind of know who they are, don't give a hoot.
Right.
They don't care if they rent their space or it sits vacant forever. Because those are the ones that, you'd like to go after. At least maybe you make a call to them and say, why isn't your property marketed? Do you have any interest in renting it? If so, what are your ideas? What kind of money would you like? What kind of return?
And
That might be worth.
I work on behalf of the board, so whatever you guys decide you want me to do.
That makes sense.
There's only a few of them that are really major that, we could go
You
after.
tell me.
No, I feel we should be working on vibrancy. We should create a place.
Well, part of
that makes it
vibrancy is
attractive
having,
to rent here.
Not
Yeah.
empty spaces.
vibrancy is having spaces filled. That's really important.
Yeah, but
It's critical. And
the thing is, how do you fill them? It's
I
like, if you make an
understand.
attractive market, with a lot of foot traffic and energy, there'll be demand.
Yeah.
You can't force people to rent spaces in a depressed zone, so you work on that.
I think that's what we've been doing.
I think we have to, and we have a lot of successes, so
Yeah, yeah,
I think we
yeah.
ought to stick to our knitting.
Okay, should we vote on this?
Yep.
Okay.
Somebody want to put out a motion and tell me what to do?
Put out a motion to,
Quash it.
I wonder instead of
Squash.
this, we don't do this, but more look at doing a refresh to our website. With maybe long-term, we look at adding more capabilities.
Okay. We probably want to assign a budget item to that because that's going to cost thousands.
Yeah.
So, like a lot, 5 to 10.
I would say maybe get some pricing on it.
Yeah.
When a company to update it, because I feel like the website's pretty darn dated.
Yes,
You
it's
know,
very
it's
stale.
stale. No one goes to it.
Yeah.
also since we're gonna
So-
take an action on this, is there any public comment before we move to that?
I don't know if we take it.
No.
You don't need a motion
not
to
gonna
not
vote.
do
Yeah,
it.
first you have to make a motion and second.
Squashing, you're killing that.
Just don't do something.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah. So we're killing something that's been presented though.
Could be like a motion to table it,
Motion
right?
to
table.
Table,
Okay,
yeah,
that
I know,
sounds
until-
good.
Second.
All right, motion and a second? Got it.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next one, we've got, the district coordinator is looking to create and promote school spirit and involvement. And we're looking at banners for Salinas High. I'll let you talk a little bit more about that,
Yeah.
Greg.
Let me finish just making sure that I got this vote right. Amy and I were talking a couple months ago. Yeah, it's been a few months. And we were talking about wanting to include our schools. Our downtown is for everybody, so we want to include all of Salinas, not just the 93901 school zip codes or zip code schools or whatever. So we were thinking of putting out banners, home of the Cowboys, home of the Eagles, home of the, what other schools? Vikings.
Trojans.
Yeah, so banners. And this is quickly, not spiraling, but it's quickly growing into a bigger, like just one set of banners. The thought has kind of evolved into putting up school spirit banners like home of the whatevers year-round on, let's say, Market Street. We have 2 private schools and 7 public schools. I'm sorry, 5 public schools, so I think it's a total of 7. I'm not sure if Mount Toro would be included in this because that's like a continuing school. It depends on what the superintendent, who I was supposed to have a meeting with 2 days ago, but they canceled 8 minutes before. Sorry, that was... but basically year-round banners on Market Street promoting school spirit, home of the whatevers. A second set of banners, most likely on Alisal Street, celebrating the valedictorians of each school. They would probably go up for the summer. The valedictorian announcements are generally made in May, so we put them up in May, June, July, and then end of the year, when the school year starts again, we take them down for the next batch of valedictorians. The third one, which is probably the most complicated, would be we have 89 banner locations along Main Street. We divvy those out depending on the number of seniors, and instead of us doing all the legwork, we would most likely point towards the schools and say, look, you have 20 graduating or 200 graduating seniors, but we don't have that many banner locations, so you get a fraction or a ratio of that, and do with them as you will. And they're kind of like the yearbook pages that parents take out for their kids, like, oh, this is my baby graduating, you put your school picture up, and like an ad for your kid. And this will be done by ratio of graduating seniors to banner spaces, so we're not excluding any school. But that one's probably the most difficult one. I propose that along with our banner refresh that we're doing for the Live, Work, Play, we add 6 or 7 banners for school spirit and put those along Market Street. I continue to have meetings with the superintendent, Palma, and Notre Dame to put up valedictorian banners, and then for next year we go with the students along Main Street, and that would most likely be handed out to, let's say, the PTOs or the booster clubs, and say you have X amount of spots, do your fundraising, and as long as we get a set fee for the banners, our cost to make them and hang them, we will be good. School spirit banners, we foot the bill. Valedictorians, we would aim for the schools to foot the bill, and the students along Main Street would be the PTO booster clubs to foot the bill. So it'd be fairly close to a net zero for us, other than the 6 or 7 banners along Market Street. That's kind of what I'm proposing. It can still evolve. Steve sent me some questions by email yesterday if we want to include middle schools or other things.
Do we know how many grammar schools there are?
There's like 27 or something. Like, this is a huge number.
We don't have enough space for.
I think we focus on high school if we're gonna do it, and then focus on people who have some achievement with it.
Or we can evolve. I mean, we can start out with the high schools. You guys can make the decision if you just want South Salinas schools, but I don't think that's fair, personally. So that's why I made it an action item, so you guys can decide whether this is something you want me to pursue, to continue having meetings with the school district, and...
Have there been meetings already?
No.
Did you meet with Palma?
I called Palma. Palma is tentatively interested. Notre Dame is very interested, well, because there's not very many left.
44 kids.
Yeah, so
That's that many?
But it would be nice to promote people based on achievement, like the valedictorians or somebody who's done something well. Because one, I think it sets a good example for the community of youth looking up to these people and what they did and saying, oh wow, look at they're on there. Maybe I can achieve that as well. And then it inspires people to achieve in a way that
and it's very similar to like the Hometown Heroes, where you have the families of some of the people hanging on Main Street that are like, oh look, that's my dad, or that's my uncle, or whatever. Now you can be like, oh look, that's
my
that's
kid.
me, or that's my kid, or whatever. And the Main Street ones are not achievement based though.
right.
That would be, well, honestly, that would be up to the schools.
For what?
The Main Street banners.
Okay, so, yeah, and so I brought this up to Greg because my father-in-law lives in Rancho Marietta, and they do something like this, and it was fantastic, and I love the community involvement. That's why I really wanted to do something. So, since we don't have anything on Market Street, like, let's put it there, we'll leave it there all year long. The ones that are on South Street, the schools are not gonna pay for, okay? I mean, I am involved with the schools a lot. So, either, it's probably gonna be about $1,000 for this. I mean, I'll pay for the first year. I'm fine, I'll donate the money for it. I think it's a fabulous program. I know I can get a donor every year after that, right? We can work together about getting donors. The 89 that are available out, so if you have 2,600 kids at Salinas High, 1,400 at Rancho, right? That you're gonna get your allotted amount based off of the number of students. And what we say is, hey guys, your allotted amount costs this amount of money. So, or whether it's I'm just gonna call it PTA, no it's not called that anymore, but let's just call it PTA. PTA, here you go, here's the number of, that you get. So let's say Salinas High out of that, because depending on, I'm just using them because my daughter goes there, okay? So there's no preference, it's just that my kid goes there. And I'm involved with a lot of those stuff. So if you get 20 banners, right, like they have their crab feed that's coming up on March 8th, they could make money for their stuff and they could sell it. If they have to give us $1,500 for those spots, that's great, they're gonna commit to that 15. And if they were able to raise $1,000 for their school, whatever it may be, that's their choice of how they want to do that. But they're already committing to us that amount of money. But it's highlighting these kids from, and so as when you're coming down to go to your farmer's market every week, all of the kids from every school are highlighted. Our schools are all highlighted, and then we get to show off how wonderful our community is all the way around, And when I saw this in Rancho Marietta, I thought it was fabulous. And so I'm like, how can we make this happen here? And make it beneficial, and we don't have anybody, I mean, we're putting our banners up, we might as well put somebody else's banners up and highlight our kids. I mean, we have so many special kids in our community that I don't think people know about. I happen to sit on a couple of committees to give, grant funds to and stuff in my Rotary group that I happen to be involved with, and I see these wonderful kids, and it's amazing, and having them highlighted would just express how wonderful our teachers are and our community is and what we do. So that's why I was like, oh, let's try to get this done,
To me, that says
that's
don't
my thought.
limit it to high schools then.
Limit it to high schools only.
Why though?
No, he says no.
But I mean, because we don't have enough space to do
Well, if you don't take 89 spaces the way you're gonna allocate the 89 spaces, you could give some of those to the grammar schools and use the remaining ones for something else, all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I did some, sorry.
That's okay.
So I did some math, I put it on a spreadsheet, figured out how many students are at every school, total enrollment. I called Salinas Unified and said, how many seniors do you have this year? And I kind of did divide by 89. And so it comes out to a ratio of about 30 students per banner. So if we were to include the middle and elementary schools on there, it would turn into just
About 50 per banner.
probably, well, because I'm only focusing on the seniors.
I understand.
Yeah, so that's why we picked this high schools only. Now, I mean, if you guys want more students on there, yeah, that's cool. But I figured we start out with the high schools.
So are you saying that you have multiple students featured on each banner?
No, it would be
It'd be like 30 per school they would get, so 30, so then that school would be responsible for paying for 30 spots, and right? And
no, you have to go the other way around. So Salinas High School has
The pro rata share.
it's like 400 graduating seniors, but we don't have 400 banners. So I divide it by the amount of banners available, and it comes out to about 30 graduating seniors per banner location.
So Salinas High would get about 13 or 14.
Correct. And then Notre Dame and Palma, because they're so small, I'm not going to give them, like, because Notre Dame, I think, is like 13 graduating seniors. I can't give them half a banner. So I got to give them 1 or 2. And the same thing with Palma. Palma has like 80 or something like that. So they would get like 2 or 3. And then the rest of the schools would get their ratio, the rest of the ratio. And they can divvy them out however they feel. Whether they do it based on achievement or they want to raffle them off at a PTO meeting or a crab feed or a fundraiser, as long as our basic costs of printing a banner for $200 and hanging it for $50 if you kind of like figure that out, as long as we get that dollar amount, you can do whatever you want with that banner. As long as
So the cost share is with the schools
Yes.
have to pony up the money to cover it.
yes,
And then we've got this strategy for how you
use it as a fundraiser.
profile students
Mhm.
and the schools.
And who's
I
gonna
think-
who's gonna do all this?
Me?
We already
Well-
have a banner program, so great
I know
would
that.
just be adding on to the.
So we would most likely, so this here was just a mock-up of what we sent to Monterey Signs and said, here, spend an hour designing a banner for us. And so this is what came up on, their proof of concept. The same thing would probably follow with fairly similar look. This is your valedictorian, John Smith, whatever. And then for the kids, we make a unique, or,
But you're gonna have a lot of banners,
yeah,
and I, just working with Relay,
yep,
it's a lot of administration.
yes, sir.
Is that? I think that's a lot more time than you think it is.
The schools need to take this on, so that's why I said the PTO. So your PTO would submit it to us like, hey, this is the criteria, we get the criteria from Monterey Signs, right? Hey guys, you have to provide everything in this format so they can do it. So just like Hometown Heroes, someone takes care of our Hometown Heroes, it's the same
Or
thing.
Relay, yeah.
Or Relay, someone else handles that, not us. They submit the final to us, like, hey, here's what I want on this banner, and here's the kid's picture, and it goes to Monterey Signs, and Monterey Signs hangs it up. We're just giving them the platform. We're
Yeah.
not doing anything else other than that.
Just having been on the other end of that, I'll tell you, it's not as easy as you make it sound.
So,
So
the schools-
I got something to say.
the schools are paying? The schools are paying?
Yeah.
They would reimburse us for it. They would, if we have 10 banners, for example, the total cost for that particular school, or maybe and this is where I don't know what we can offer Salinas Unified and how you guys want to deal with it, and say, hey, look, the district pays X amount of dollars, and whatever you do with it afterwards, hand it out to whatever school you want. So it could alleviate our workload if we do it like that, if they're interested in doing it.
Jason, you had a
So,
comment?
yeah, I mean, this all sounds really good, and I think there's a lot of positive aspects of allowing these kinds of messages on banners that we allow throughout the downtown area, but banner programs can create First Amendment issues. And so, and it's controlling the message about what goes on banners that gets cities and agencies in trouble. And so it's really just trying, like if I think there needs to be some more, like if we start allowing banners in different locations, I don't think we're gonna be able to limit it to just schools, it's gotta be, we've gotta think about, be thoughtful about, we have a current banner program, I think, right? And so, I don't know what that, do people come to us and they seek our approval to put banners downtown? And, I mean, we can't really limit the message that's on those, we can limit like the size of them,
Yeah.
right? And the font and things like that, but once we start delving in, start regulating speech, starts, you're encroaching into First Amendment issues. So I would just caution, maybe Tony, this is one for him to weigh in on. He doesn't spend 10 hours going haywire on it. And I mean, we don't have a big legal budget, but I'm just saying, like, it's worth just like, a conversation with him, because I just don't want, because once we start authorizing banners in different parts of our city, we just have to be cognizant about how we're going to regulate those messages, like and telling somebody, yeah, it's only for high schools and not for grammar schools, or it's not for the, that can create, well, what do you mean? We would just do the same parameters, we just would have a different message, it'd be the same fonts and everything,
Right.
How are you gonna tell us that we can't have a banner? You're allowing these things in a public setting.
Yeah.
What do you mean districts?
Within the city.
Just one, Salinas Unified High School.
For high school. Then there's the elementary.
Then there's Alisal, and then there's Salinas City Center, or Salinas.
But just to kind of bring this back to the beginning, don't we have an existing banner program with parameters? Is this really just opening it up to a new customer?
It's so our current workflow is we get a request to put up banners. For example, Salinas Valley Health wants to put up banners in March and April. They submitted their design to us. We are not the arbiter of what's approved or what's not. The city is. We take that design and say, hey, city, approve this. We pay a permit adjustment fee of $50 or something, a review fee, and the city then says, yes, this banner passes the guidelines. And then once that's kosher or good, we hang them. So the city has the ultimate say on what's allowed or what's not allowed. So we would have to submit our banner designs to the city and say, are these okay? And then
Then it's because the city's issue.
Then it's the city's issue.
So that's fine, as long as we don't have any approval authority over, we can support it, right? And say, yeah, this is a concept that we can get behind, but ultimately it's the city that's gonna make the decision.
And in terms of a formal banner program, we started out with a guideline or a banner program, and the city wanted to chew it over. They've been chewing on it for about a year now, a little less, and we've requested some updates on it, and they have not come forth with like an official, this is our answer. But in the meantime, they did say, look, we'll let you keep your master permit that we have. We're calling it a master permit, it's not really, but we're the only permit holder for banner locations in the downtown currently. They're gonna continue letting us have our permit and manage it per se, as long as we take any new banners that are being submitted to us that people want to hang, send them through the city, get our approval, get it back, and then you can, move forward. But this is not a profit revenue thing for us. We're not allowed to charge people. We're not allowed to make money off this. It is our overhead that we're dealing with. But we are allowed to recoup our costs. So whatever this dollar amount is that we need to recoup, that would be our line item. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I'd like to wrap this up. It looks like we've got a sign program in place.
Pseudo.
We've got the controls with the city's review. We've got an interested party. I like the idea of high school kids of all the schools, because they're going to want to bring their family down to show them their banner. So I would move that we support the program, in alignment with our current protocols on banners. And you might look at heavier gauge backgrounds, or do like there's maybe a wire support at the edge.
I'd second that with Peter. I think it's a good idea. I like the community spirit. I like the fact that we're going to acknowledge the kids that are doing really well. Yeah, I think this is a great idea.
I'd be
Great
curious
use of
if
space.
there's a cost element to it if we look at grant funds,
Yeah.
putting it over on there.
Sure.
So very well, we could, instead of $5,000 cost, let's say that to our district, we could.
Absorb it for the
Absorb it,
first
yeah.
year and say, hey, look, this is what we can do.
Or at least
Potentially
look
next
into
year.
it, once we know what the cost is.
Oh, but the first year is the worst year because it's the start of it.
It's the learning curve.
Yeah.
Well, but you also have to make all the banners.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. But the banners would change out every
You have to
every
keep
year.
making them.
Minus like the 6 or 7 from the high schools themselves, but everything else. But the design, the initial layout, the flow, right? Yeah.
But that's coming through the districts. They're going to make the selections based on their individual criteria. They're going to provide, I guess within some format, we're going to create a sort of a background format that they can.
We're going to give them the design and say, give me your logo, and I'll put it on there with, this text has all been pre-approved. Salinas High School, Everett Alvarez High School, Salinas Vikings or whatever.
Probably.
Home of the, and that's all going to be pre-cut or pre-designed. We plug in your criteria. Same thing with the valedictorian banner, most likely. Say, have a same design and say, this is the picture of the valedictorian. Congratulations to John Smith, Jenny Smith, whatever. And then lastly, I would also have a cut design for the high school kids. Don't think that's gonna happen this year, that's just way too much. But the first two I think we can accomplish this year. But then the kids for next year potentially, pre-design thing, plug your picture in, put a name underneath, have a nice day.
I'll say something. Any public comment on this before we make a motion? I know we kind of talked about one, but.
You could have a motion in a second.
Yeah,
Well,
right,
we
sorry.
needed to have public comment before that,
No, I
so
understand.
let's go ahead and do that first. Any public
Appreciate it.
comment?
I'll pass.
Okay.
Thank you.
These banners are throughout the city or just
Our district.
ours?
Just in specific, yeah, areas of our district.
And I picked, and we can change that, but I picked Market Street because it's underutilized, and I picked Alisal because there's lots of poles and there is not a whole lot of banners on Alisal, and it's a main through fair.
So what's the motion?
So do you,
To approve me moving forward,
So we're gonna approve this banner program under our current protocol.
Yeah.
For, to recognize the high schools, the 5 high schools.
Well, are we
We
gonna
still
get a
need-
budget for it?
We still need to come back with budgets.
To continue moving forward.
Researching
Yeah,
and to
research.
bring back to the board
Yeah.
at future date.
And that research is going to include a meeting with the Salinas Union High School District.
Yeah, because if they don't want it, then we're done.
Yeah.
Okay, and that will happen very soon.
I had a meeting on the books, but it got canceled.
So let's do that before we worry about
I
budget.
think,
Yeah.
yes, I would.
Yes.
I would start with understanding if the Salinas Union High School District
Once in,
wants in and understands the program.
yes.
Otherwise, I think we potentially could be putting ourselves in a dangerous situation given
Agreed.
everything that's just happened in the last, say, 90 days
Yes.
for downtown.
Agreed. If they don't want their banners up with their
I'm getting a
students.
little nervous of how we could be perceived.
It'll be, I will move forward contacting the districts, asking if they're interested. If they are not interested, that stops the ball right there.
And I'm not sure that has to be a meeting, how about a email?
Well, I've been trying to get a hold of them, and so we had
Who are you gonna meet with?
the marketing coordinator and the superintendent, and that was supposed to be on Wednesday, but it got canceled.
I think a meeting to
Just a quick
hash
half
it
hour.
out
Yeah.
makes sense.
Okay, we'll good luck with the superintendent.
I know.
She's tough.
So you wanna just wait until you have that feedback?
Well, I wanted the approval to continue pursuing this. And
Yeah, I don't
then,
think you need a motion to that. I think
Yeah.
you just continue.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay.
So the motion's withdrawn.
The motion is withdrawn.
and I'll provide an
No
update,
action,
Pending
no
more
action
action.
until you come
More
back with
information.
proper information.
and/or bring the superintendent with you.
Perfect. Yeah.
It's a cost estimate.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
Okay, our meeting is adjourned.